Hello, BookTube, and in honor of Mark at Book Time with Elvis and myself's August of Adventures, and uh, Mark Richardson is also part of this. He's a co-host for at least part of the month. We thought we would do, Mark and I would do a 5 sort of nonfiction adventure books and then 5 fiction. So Mark's doing 5 fiction books at the moment, and then he'll do, I think it's Thursday, we are going to do the second one. He'll do the nonfiction, but today I'm doing the nonfiction. And the first one, there's no real order to these. It's not sort of a ranking in any shape or form. We've already seen this book on my hours in my library. It's Corbett's Rural Rides. Now, you may say, well, it's not really adventure. Well, it is. I say it is adventure. It's a nice set. It's got nice front gilding as well. And it's rural rides in the counties of Surrey, Kent, Sussex, Hants, Berks, Oxford, Bucks, Wilts, Somerset, Gloucestershire, Herefordshire, Salop, Worcester, Stafford, Leicester, Hertford, Essex, Suffolk, Norfolk, Cambridge, Huntingdon, Nottingham, Lincoln, York, Lancaster, Durham, and Northumberland during the years 1821 to 1832. See, that makes it an adventure, and it's on Horseback by William Cobbett, and this was published in 1886 by Reeves and Turner of the Strand. Now, this, I think Penguin still does an abbreviated version of it. That's where I've read it. I've actually not read this, at least this, as complete a rides as this is. I have read the Penguin a couple times in the past. But this will be, I believe, a very good adventure book to read. Now, we'll just continue on here, if I can find somewhere to pile these. Now, we've got Cook's Voyages Around the World. This is a nice little edition here. It's Captain Cook's Voyages Round the World with an Introductory Life by M.B. Singe, 1897, Thomas Nilsson and Sons. And it's not complete, I believe, because I think there's more, and there's been unabridged versions, but this is the one I have. And this is I think the one I've read, not this specific edition, but I have read this one because I remember an Introductory Life by, I'm pretty sure, Singe. So it could very well be it. And it's exactly what it says. It's him writing about his voyages round the world. And it is fabulous. This one's a little different. It is the travels in Africa, Persia, and Asia the Great in 1677 by Sir Thomas Herbert. And there's a dodo on the cover. Yeah, the light sort of needs to adjust. It's a big book. Oh, look at it that way. Is that right? Yeah, that's right. And this is published by the Arizona Center for Medieval and Renaissance Studies, Temple, Arizona, in 2012. And it's Medieval and Renaissance Texts and Studies, volume 427. They do a lot of really interesting stuff. I've probably got about 8 or 10 volumes that I've picked up. Poetry, medieval poetry, medieval history, studies, you name it. Now, let's read the back here, because this looks fascinating. I've not read this. Part of this will be my TBR for next year. This book is an edition of Sir Thomas Herbert's Travels based on the final 1677 printing of the work. which was revised and expanded over a number of years by the author. It describes Herbert's travels undertaken in 1627 to 1630 as a member of the Sir Dodmore Cotton's embassy to Shah Abbas I to India, Persia, and parts of Africa and the Middle East. It is the first complete and unabridged edition of Herbert's book since its final printing, and features detailed explanatory notes as well as a full critical and historical introduction. The edition is aimed at both specialist scholars and anyone interested in early contacts between England, Asia Minor, and the Mughal Empire. So this is fabulous, or it looks fabulous. So that was 3. Number 4, this is standing in for any of this person's journals. It's the one that I could grab easily, or even his correspondence. And that's David Livingstone's. This is Private Journals, 1851 to 1853. This was published by Chatto and Windus in 1960. And it's sort of like the first journey to Sebatone's country, reasons for leaving the Bakawanes, incidents in the first journey, return to the south, return to Taunaki River, second journey to Sebatone's country. And it says here, in missionary travels and researches, I believe I've got that somewhere, or I used to have it anyway. Missionary travels and researches, David Livingstone lamented the disappearance in Africa of a volume of his journal containing, as he says, valuable notes on the habits of wild animals. Although the volume was ultimately recovered and has been consulted by several of his biographers, this is the first time it has been published in full. It is essentially the contemporary record of Livingstone's 2 journeys to northwestern Rhodesia in 1851 to 1853. Apart from throwing important new light on the notes or the routes he took, it describes vividly the difficulties he occasionally encountered, adds considerably to our knowledge of the Makololo and their chiefs, Sebatoane and Sekalutu. Contains information about Portuguese slave traders, tactfully omitted from missionary travels, reveals Livingstone as far more interested in natural history than geographical study or anthropology, and includes many significant reflections on religion and social progress. 2 notable items are the original texts of letters in which the Bakwina chief Cecil reports the attack made on him by the Boers in 1852, and in which Mrs. Moffat bitterly reproaches Livingstone for taking his wife and children with him on an exploring expedition. The volume shows, incidentally, that what he wrote in missionary travels is not always reliable. It is introduced and annotated by Professor I. Shapira, editor of Livingstone's Family Letters, which I do have somewhere way up top there. But yeah, no, this is a fabulous one. So yeah, and any of his sort of journeys. Now we're moving more ahead in time, and this is Mary Kingsley's Travels in West Africa. It's the 3rd edition with an introduction by John E. Flint. Not the best looking jacket, but it's interesting with the African designs on it. This was published in, the first edition was 1897. An abridged edition was done in 1900. And then this is the 3rd edition in 1965. And it is basically her travels. It says, Travels in West Africa is an account of Mary Kingsley let's start that again. Travels in West Africa is an account by Mary Kingsley of her first 2 visits to West Africa in 1893 and 1895. And it is through this work that she made her name both as writer and as a theorist in West African affairs. The book is a vivid account of the travels of this intrepid explorer, written in a style often dramatic, sometimes analytical, but punctuated throughout with descriptions and incidents which are often hilarious. The sympathy and accuracy of her observations enabled her to see the futility of considering the African from the European viewpoint, and made her opinions on native law, religion, and trade of such prime importance in her day. Mary Kingsley was a person who commanded respect and affection wherever she went, and such is the vitality of her writing that she is able to induce the same response more than 60 years later in this third edition, which contains the complete text of the unabridged first edition. This, I believe, is published as well as a black penguin, black spined penguin classics. So there is my 5 nonfiction adventure books. Yes, a little Africa heavy, but this will be a big part of my TBR for next year's August of Adventure. So anyway, what are you reading, and are you reading any nonfiction? Have you read any of these books, or do you want to read any of these books? And and what area of like adventure, journals, travel, exploration do you like, if any? Take care, BookTube. I'll see you next time.